In December 1945, the commander of a 5-plane Navy training squadron known as Flight 19 radioed a control tower in Florida. His compass was malfunctioning. He didn't know where he was. His final transmission simply stated, "It looks like we are entering whitewater. We are completely lost." After that transmission, all 5 torpedo bombers ditched into the sea. 14 men vanished. Later that day, a massive rescue plane carrying a 13-man crew went out to find them. The rescue plane disappeared too. A massive week-long search turned up absolutely zero wreckage. The official Navy report concluded that it was as if they had flown to Mars. Flight 19 went missing inside a vaguely defined region of the North Atlantic Ocean. If you draw a line from the southeastern coast of the United States to Bermuda, down to Puerto Rico, and back up again, you get a rough geometric shape. Over the centuries, this specific patch of ocean, more than 20 airplanes, 50 large ships, and hundreds of people have completely vanished while trying to cross it. You won't find this region on any official map, and the US government doesn't recognize it as a geographical location. Because it exists off the books, it has become a perfect, unchallengeable vacuum for the world's most notorious maritime mystery, the Bermuda Triangle. The logs of anomalies here date back half a millennium. In September 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed through this water and recorded that his compass readings had inexplicably shifted. A few days later, he noted the sea rising to great heights and observed a strange, small light bobbing on the horizon, like a wax candle. By 1881, the stories evolved from strange lights to total abandonments. A cargo ship called the Ellen Austin reportedly encountered a perfectly intact ghost ship drifting silently through the triangle. The captain sent a salvage crew aboard to claim the goods, but a sudden storm separated them. When the fog finally cleared, the salvage crew had vanished, leaving the ghost ship entirely empty once again. Then came the military losses. In March 1918, the USS Cyclops, a massive 542-foot Navy cargo ship, headed north from Barbados. She had a crew of over 300 men and was fully equipped to send out an SOS. No call was ever made. The ship and her entire crew disappeared. Decades later, during the height of the Cold War, authors seized on these historical tragedies. Dozens of best-selling books hit the shelves, connecting the missing ships to The Lost City of Atlantis, underwater time portals, and deep-sea alien abductions. This was an era before advanced satellite mapping could accurately track the weather and the oceans. Without hard data to explain why so many massive vessels were disappearing, society eagerly filled those knowledge gaps with terrifying supernatural explanations. To find real answers, we have to treat the triangle like a crime scene and line up the natural suspects. The first is navigational failure. This globe shows the difference between the static geographic North Pole and the constantly shifting magnetic North Pole. Navigators constantly have to adjust their compasses for the gap between them, except along one specific boundary called the agonic line. Along the agonic line, true north and magnetic north align perfectly. A compass points true. Hundreds of years ago, this line passed directly through the Bermuda Triangle, leading theorists to blame it for massive navigational errors. However, the agonic line drifts westward at an average of 0.2 degrees a year. Today, it sits securely in the Gulf of Mexico, completely ruling it out as a modern suspect. The second suspect is extreme environmental hazards. The Gulf Stream travels right along the western edge of the triangle. It is incredibly swift and turbulent, moving 300 times faster than the Amazon River. It is more than powerful enough to push inexperienced sailors hundreds of miles off course and rapidly swallow any wreckage. Combine those currents with rogue waves. These are abnormally massive, unpredictable walls of water that can reach 100 feet in height. They form instantly, capable of capsizing a 500-foot cargo ship before the crew ever has a chance to reach the radio room. Geologists have also pointed to deep ocean sediment. Researchers have mapped half-mile-wide craters off the coast of Norway caused by the explosive release of trapped methane gas. A giant methane burp destroys the water's buoyancy, sinking a vessel like a stone. Methane blowouts, rogue waves, and the Gulf Stream are all scientifically grounded ways to die at sea. But as an explanation for the Bermuda Triangle, they fall short. They are highly plausible hypotheses, but they still don't explain the sheer, terrifying volume of planes and ships that are supposedly vanishing here. Which brings us to the most glaring hole in the entire investigation. If rogue waves and strong currents exist everywhere, why do these natural hazards make this specific patch of the Atlantic uniquely deadly compared to the rest of the world's oceans? The truth relies entirely on where you place the boundaries. Because the Bermuda Triangle doesn't officially exist, its borders shift wildly depending on which author is telling the story. Approximations of the total area range from 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles. That leaves roughly 1 million square miles of margin for error. If you stretch an arbitrary border across an endless expanse of ocean over the course of 5 centuries, compiling an accurate historical death toll becomes mathematically impossible. We've been investigating the wrong question. The real mystery isn't how ships are disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle at an alarming rate. The mystery is why we accepted the premise that they are disappearing at an alarming rate in the first place. When you put the paperback thrillers away and examine the actual, modern marine casualty data, the entire myth collapses. Lloyd's List, a global shipping publication, maintains a dataset of over 150,000 incident records. This chart visualizes their shipping data from 2021. In that single year, 8,634 boats passed directly through the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle. Out of those thousands of ships, there were only 2 mysterious casualties. That is a casualty rate of 0.02. The region happens to sit squarely in Hurricane Alley. Florida is hit by more storms than any other U.S. state, and Puerto Rico is battered by hurricanes 4 to 5 times a year. Add to that basic human error. We now know that the commander of Flight 19 simply got lost. Instead of turning back west toward Florida when his compass failed, he stubbornly flew his squadron east, deeper into the empty expanse of the Atlantic, until they completely ran out of fuel. Today, we have the technology to predict, track, and avoid these massive storms, and GPS to keep us perfectly on course. Hundreds of years ago, a crew on a wooden cargo ship had none of that. When a sudden cyclone hit, they were utterly vulnerable. The data is definitive, yet the public imagination refuses to let the triangle go. We crave the myth because the unknown is intoxicating. In a world where every square inch of the planet is mapped and categorized, it is thrilling to believe that a sliver of magic or menace still exists just out of sight. But honoring the sailors and pilots who actually lost their lives in these waters means accepting the forensic reality. There are no alien abductions, no underwater time portals, and no curse. The ocean is simply a powerful, unforgiving, and fabulously unremarkable force of nature.